Gonna get a oh yeah! Okay, internet. Now, to celebrate the release of Far Cry 6 on the 7th of October, Xbox and Ubisoft have challenged me, colinfurze, to create some items from the game. Now, I've already made one of the Supremo backpacks, the Exterminador. Now, in the game, it's like a load of mortars, but I've basically got a fireworks display and strapped it to my back. Now, links to that video are in the description and linked at the end of the video. But the other thing in this game which I like is that of the resolver philosophy. And this is the kind of make, do, amend, make weapons and vehicles out of whatever you can find lying around. And some of the vehicles in the game are pretty cool. You've got old like 50s cars with machine guns on the top, beach buggies, you name it, it all likes it's come out the scrapyard. So, I think we should go to the scrapyard, get some components and make our own vehicle. Let's have it! I've got a bicycle, that is a good start. And, oh yes, this little bad boy. Now, this is the idea I've got. Take the engine of that and put it in the bicycle, but I know what you're thinking, lawnmower engines, they sit flat and you need the drive to be sideways. Well, what if we had the lawnmower engine powering a hydraulic pump, which then powered hydraulic motors, which turn the wheels, and if that works, we can make this bicycle two-wheel drive because we can stick a hydraulic motor on the front and a hydraulic motor on the rear, and oh, we can just be climbing over everything. Boom. Right, I've tried starting it, it does work. Sounds pretty rough, but it does run. Right, let's get it off here and then try and work out how we can mount it in our bicycle frame. Oh, oh. Right, so I've got this little hydraulic pump. This is a spare one left over from the bicycle of hydraulics. Put some gears on here. Oh yes, already fits. And we'll mount that somewhere like that, and then that can be like. Of course. New merch, new merch, new. I don't think it's got many miles left in it. Of course, we do have to remember this was on the scrap heap. Now, it still works, just. I wanted to test it because I did notice that the output shaft was quite bent. And I've hammered it back and it's still bent, but I think we can live with it. This is very on brief with what I've been asked to do. So, the resolve away. Find junk, make something. And this is junk. We need a secondary engine support and then get our it sounds like a bag of nails. He got a zip tie. Okay then, internet, what just happened? Well, you know, the engine turns the pump, which turns the motor. I've had to swap the engine because I tried to stop the motor and it conked out nearly immediately because that old engine was completely knackered. So I've got a not quite so knackered engine now and it's marginally better. Now, they've only got 3 horsepower, these engines, from new, so they've probably got like 1.5, 2 maximum, so it's never going to be like a super power machine. But anyway, the whole thing works. I think at some point one of these hydraulics has been left outside because it's got water in it, because the oil now looks like honey, but we can clean that. That's all good. Right, proof of concept is good. Let's mount this motor on the forks to drive the front wheel, and then we will see what other problems occur. This is the real reason I made the tunnel. Look, so I've got like a bicycle inspection pit. Come on, stop messing around. Get on with it. Okay, it's plumbed up, we've got oil in it, and the good news is, the wheel moves! The bad news is, of course, we have very little power. You can literally stop it with your hand. Before we chuck all this on the scrap heap, there are a couple of things I want to try. I'm going to put a bypass in, so once the engine's running, it can just be circulating itself and not actually powering the motor, because as soon as you start this thing, it wants to move. So we've not got a lot of control over it at the moment. And I've looked at it and thought the wheel's actually spinning reasonably fast. And I tried starting it in the garden, like suspended in the air, and then running and then dropping it down to see how fast it is actually turning. And I couldn't do that very well, because either I wasn't running fast enough or it was just a very difficult operation to perform. What we can do, get that sorted, and then we can mess around with the gear ratios, because basically we can change sprocket sizes here and at the front till we get to a point where the little engine power we have got remaining is enough to self-sustain and turn the wheels with Colin on it. Right, let's do all that. Bypass! Okie dokie, we have our bypass, which is effectively our clutch, and I've changed the gear ratio down here. Will you work? Well, it does work! Okay, we don't have speed and we do not have power, but the engine runs and it does turn the wheels. That is the one thing we can be satisfied with. So, ultimately, these engines too small, not got enough wallop, but it's all right. I've managed to source a ride-on mower, which wouldn't fit through the gate, but I've tested it. The engine runs. I've got it out. Third engine swap necessary, people. Wow! Oh, look at that. Fits in there a treat, doesn't it? Third engine in. Still no good. So basically, I've added valves, bypass valves, to stop me over-pressurising the pump. We've even connected it into the 240-volt pump underneath my bench. I've had oil spraying everywhere, but basically, this motor is not powerful enough because we've got 11.5 horsepower here now. So we are losing horses left, right, and centre. They have just disappeared. So, although it's very unresolver-like, because this is just stuff I've had lying around from other projects, I've had to buy a bigger pump and a bigger motor because I want to see this thing work. New pumps on, plumbed in, thought I'd have a little tickle around the garden, but it turns out the chain and sprocket off a bicycle is now not man enough to take the torque, so I've had to swap it for a bigger one, something with a bit more meat. Got back in the garden, turns out it is going to work, and it nearly powered me into the swing and clotheslined myself. So I think we'll take my oil-covered camera up the airfield, give it a proper test. It's not very easy to pedal now, this big engine in the way. It finally worked! Right, we got to put the van next to it! See how fast this thing goes! 30 mile an hour! Oh, come on! 31! See, that's now! It finally works! All that messing around, eh? And it turns out I just had the wrong engine and the wrong hydraulics. But, you know, the resolver way is to kind of use what you've got lying around and finding things in scrapyards. And you don't really find many ride-on lawnmowers in scrapyards. So I thought using a push mower would be better. But anyway, not good enough. Now, 30 miles an hour, it's all right. Now, I've messed around with the gearing and I've got it to go a bit faster. But if you think back to the beginning of the video, I didn't kind of have speed in mind when I made this. It was the fact that we could put 2 hydraulic motors on and give it 2-wheel drive. And that is interesting. Okay, we're sorted. We've got 2 hydraulic motors now, and I've actually upped the capacity of them, so the thing should have even more torque. And of course, we've given it a little bit of colour. We've kind of made it look like what the vehicles look like in the game. Because everything in the game, although it is all made out of junk and stuff, it does all look pretty cool. And there's nice colours and textures, so we've kind of added that. Bits of cloth, you know, bits of strapping and stuff, all these sorts of things that you expect to find. Right, let's go and give it a test in what I can only describe as the nearest thing to Yara we have in Lincolnshire. Chains are jumping, so we're going to do away with the chains and go direct drive onto some thicker wheels. 3, 2, 1. Here she is. We've got space saver wheels. Motors directly driven. Is this gonna work? Yes, 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 just show us it working. Well, it does work now. We do have a two-wheel drive bicycle. It has no brakes. Obviously, I remembered that as I went shooting off into the ditch straight away. It is very heavy and it is very slow, but unfortunately with the engine, with the setup, that's as best as it's going to get. If I get a bigger pump to pump more oil into the motors to make them turn faster, then the engine will struggle even more to turn it. This is the best this is going to get. And when I think back to it, like bombing up the runway at 40 miles an hour, that was actually its best setup now. Little did I know, but I love the idea of the two-wheel drive bicycle. It feels like if you were in a situation, you know, like in the game and you wanted to get away, if this went 40 miles an hour, that'd be super versatile. But it didn't, but it looks cool and it's been a massive learning experience. Now, of course, don't forget the game, Far Cry 6. It is out on the 7th of October. There is links in the description. And I've got one more thing, one more Supremo backpack in me. That is the next video. Subscribe and I'll see you there.